or west?
It's west. It's west.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently that clock is 3 minutes.
We were on Dakar and
Well, I guess that means we should start. All right, it's Tuesday, February 17th, a little after 3. I will call the Board of Directors of Trinity Metro to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Will, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Okay, we'll skip the administration of oath and go directly into citizen comments. Do we have any cards? Anybody would like to speak? Okay, we'll close the citizen comment portion of the meeting, and we'll move on to presentations. First presentation is okay, Greg. Audited financials and audit report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's that time of year again where we get to deliver another financial report and annual audit. Before we jump into that, I want to take a moment to introduce Kim Aaron to you. Kim's been with Trinity Metro for a little over 10 years now. This is her second audit to lead on her own. Last year, she managed this as the accounting manager. This year, she's managed this as the agency's controller. And so she's done a great job. I'm real proud of the work that Kim's done, and I want to give her a chance to say a couple comments before she introduces Stephanie from Weaver.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Hi.
Chairman and board members. Kimberly Aaron, as he said, almost 10 years in this lovely place. We did make it through another audit, which we're proud of. Myself, along with my team, Angie, my accounting manager, and our employees. But I just wanted to take a minute to introduce Stephanie Wilson, Director Audit for Weaver and Tidwell, and she'll just let you know how our FY25 audit went.
Thanks so much. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. All right. Assuming this is what I promised. All right. Thank you so much for having me here today to present your audit. As she mentioned, I'm Stephanie Wilson. I'm a director in the audit department at Weaver, and I've had the pleasure and privilege of working on your audit for the last several years. Along with myself, we also have Jackie Gonzalez, who is the engagement partner on the audit. She's normally the one up here presenting, but she had a situation, so she wasn't available to be here. But along with the two of us, we also had Sam Keitzer, who was acting as the supervisor on the engagement and has for the last few years as well, along with other audit associates and other supporting staff members on our side who helped us get through to the finish line. A little bit about our audit process. We do perform our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards as well as generally accepted government auditing standards. And we do also perform a single audit of the federal awards in accordance with uniform guidance based on the amount of federal financial assistance that you all receive. We also perform tests of the entity's compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, grants, and contracts, including the Public Funds Investments Act, and had no issues in any of those circumstances. A little bit about our audit timeline. We, of course, start with our initial audit planning, discussing with management different situations that occurred during the year, that type of thing. We did perform our interim fieldwork in August of 2025. We came back for final fieldwork in November and the first week of December of 2025. We did provide a draft to management earlier this month. And, of course, are here today presenting the final report to you all. We have issued, and so it is final. And then from here, we'll kind of start the process all over again, discussing developments, any issues, any ongoing things, that type of thing. So every audit that we do perform a risk-based audit. We take a look at the nature of the entity, the nature of services provided by the entity, the nature of revenue streams and things like that. And we say, okay, well, what if something did go wrong, what would go wrong? And so we do notate specific risks and fraud risks here, and we do identify responses or design responses to those. So what we've noted here is federal grant revenues and expenditures, again, just given the sheer dollars that's coming in through those. Revenue recognition related to fair revenue and sales tax revenue, again, for the same reasons. Misappropriation of assets and management override of controls. Now, again, this slide looks a little scary, but we did design responses to these risks and had no issues. So again, it's just something that in each audit we do notate risks. Some additional required communications. We had no material irregularities or illegal acts noted, no transactions entered into during the year for which there's lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. No difficulties or disagreements arose during the course of the audit. I don't think that surprises anybody here. No independence issues noted, and we had no consultations or requests for a second opinion from other accountants. We'll get to the summary slide here. So we did, of course, issue an unmodified or clean opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we as your independent auditor can provide. We had no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and no noted non-compliance material to the financial statements. From a federal award perspective, we also issued an unmodified or clean opinion over compliance for major programs. We did audit the federal transit cluster in the current year, which is the same program we audited last year. You were considered to be a low-risk auditee again this year. You had no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and no audit findings required to be reported. So all in all, a great report card. Here we just note one additional, so each audit that we do, again, we do perform journal entry testing. We analyze for any entries that appear to be indicative of fraud, anything that looks outside of expectations or unrelated to business purposes, and had no issues or exceptions there. Okay, we'll get to the financial highlights here. Here you'll see the statements of net position for 2025 as compared to 2024. You did end the year with total assets of just under $1.24 billion as compared to just under $1.2 billion for 2024, which was a change of $40.4 million. Total liabilities and deferred inflows were $99.77 million as compared to $69.77 million for 2024, which is an increase of about $30 million, which gives us total net position of $1.14 billion as compared to $1.13 billion for 2024. The main changes here in total assets, were an increase in cash of about $49.3 million in the current year, primarily related to issuances of debt, so the issuances of notes payable and contractual obligations in September of 2025, which were sitting in your cash balances at year end. And then you also had a decrease in capital assets of about $6.9 million related to your depreciation expenses that you have each year, which were in excess of your capital asset additions in the current year. The increase in total liabilities and deferred inflows of about $30 million, again, primarily relates to that increase in notes payable and contractual obligations due to those debt issuances in the current year. There was also a decrease in accounts payable, which partially offset that, related to some capital asset items, liabilities in the prior year that did not reoccur. Here you'll see the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position for 2025 as compared to 2024. So we'll focus on 2025. You had total operating revenues of $9.2 million, total operating expenses of $202 million, non-operating revenue of $192.7 million, grants for capital improvements or capital grants of $10.6 million, and that gave you a total change in net position of $10.4 million. Last year, you had a negative change in net position of just under $23 million. So certainly an increase there of $33.4 million. This increase primarily related to a couple of things. You had some increases in operating assistance grants in the current year of $45.9 million, which was the use of some prior year funds. a decrease in your grants for capital improvements of 12.6 due to decreases in your overall capital improvements and use of the funds for allocations of operating funds. Increases in sales tax and contributions from partners of $6.7 million. An increase in operating expenses of $4.7 million due to the increased cost of purchased transportation, along with your depreciation and amortization, which again is recurring. Any questions or anything you'd like to look at in the specific report?
Did you, in the course of an audit, do you look at any cybersecurity issues?
So we do. We assess IT controls, and then we also look at, we have a group that specifically looks at the cybersecurity related, or the IT-related controls and assesses those.
So that's part of this report.
Yes.
Perfect. Any questions? Okay, terrific. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Appreciate it very much. So my first audit here 10 years ago, 13 years ago, lasted 3 years. So I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'm still not sure we finished it.
Well, yeah, much better than 3 years, for sure.
That's
Thank
true.
you. Thank you very much.
Okay. The next item is approval of the meeting minutes from January 20th. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We have a couple of information items. Tex rail and TRE ridership. Brad.
Good afternoon, board members. Brad Beeson, Manager of Rail Operations, here to report on Tex Rail and TRE ridership and on-time performance. First thing I'd like to say is, Charlotte, we did not need those numbers. We still made it, so just to give you a heads up. So on page 9 and 10 in your packets, Tex Rail continues to thrive on ridership, as last month we were still up over 19% over last year's numbers with over 68,200 rides. This was achieved even with the very low numbers we had during the 5 days during the ice storm. That really kind of knocked us down, but we kept pushing through. TRE closed the month at 91,500 rides, which was a 15% decrease. We attributed this to the ice storm. We did have some mechanical issues, and then we had a bridge strike at 360 right there by Centerport, which delayed a lot of trains that day due to they had to get everything put back together or make sure everything the bridge was safe. But other than that, they did a great job for the month. One thing I would like to do is I'd like to thank Herzog. I'd like to thank Andre Marshall's team from facilities. I would like to thank Mark Snyder and the maintenance team. They really knocked it out of the park with this ice storm. Without them, I think we could have got real Western, as my boss would like to say, out there. But one thing that the big item that we'd like to look at is we had a broken rail on the last day of the storm. Typically, that's something that might knock us down for 6-7 hours while they're trying to get everything ready. Herzog already had a truck prepped, ready to go. They actually beat the install team there with the rail. It already set on. We're waiting on them. They had that rail changed in just under 3 hours to get us back on schedule. We did have some down delays and we lost some trains that day, but for the month, even with the bad storms and everything, both teams still finished over 98% on-time performance, which is very good based upon those teams. Our safety record is 2,958 days as of today. I mean, we're approaching 9 years now, which is ridiculous. But it shows what our teams do. They go to work, they plan, and they do things safe. So we don't have to, nobody gets hurt and everybody gets to go home. And with that, I will take any questions.
No questions, but great job last month. I had friends that were trying to get to the airport, and the only way they could get there was on our trains. And so,
Yep.
y'all are rock stars. I just have one question. Are trains cool?
Are trains cool? Yeah, trains are awesome. Trains are cool. I mean, I don't know what he wants to say. He wants to say trains are cool or buses are cool. I mean, he's kind of conflicting now, so trains are cool. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thank to everybody. I know it was a very difficult time, those 4 or 5 days, and just couldn't have done any better. So everyone here deserves some kudos. Okay, tell us about buses.
Good afternoon, directors. I'm Reed Lanham, Chief Operating Officer here at Trinity Metro, and I can confirm that transit is neat. So, thank you, Brad, for that. And we'll have a little bit more on this later in the meeting on our winter weather response. But I can tell you it was nothing short of astounding, and the teamwork that was displayed, whether it was rail, bus, maintenance, communication, everybody pulled together. It was pretty phenomenal. Brad did mention, I want to go through these. These are statistics we put up here every month, and these are important statistics, but we were down kind of across the spectrum on ridership last month. But when you look at it, those 5 days where we had modified and/or no service, that's the difference. We were on pace to exceed our ridership from the year before on bus. Those 5 days hit us pretty hard. Especially the 2 where we did not provide any service at all, but there were some very good reasons for that. So I wanted to focus on, like Brad spoke about, the safety. The safety here at Trinity Metro, whether it's rail or bus, it's one of our core values, and it's something that's on display every day by our frontline employees, our management, and we've got some statistics that back that up. These aren't located in your packet on pages 13 through 16, but I'll ask you if you would like to review those pages and you have any questions for me, I'll be around after the meeting. I'm here every day. Please reach out. But some of the things I wanted to point out, our safety department led by Jeff Brown, along with our operations team, has done a phenomenal job in reducing the amount of transit worker assaults that we've had. Recently, there's been an uptick in those in the industry. Here at Trinity Metro, we have focused on that, and we've come up with some training and some help and just keeping it in the forefront of our employees' minds on ways to deal with these assaults. I'm happy to report that with this new approach we've taken, we've seen a 38, almost 40% decrease in transit worker assaults in the first quarter of this year as compared to last year. That's a huge deal. And that's not only our operators, it's our train crews, our envoys, our security personnel, it's all of us. We're all considered transit workers. So I wanted to point that out and give a kudos again to the whole agency and the support that we get for safety here. At the Dr. Dennis Duncan's Transfer Center, that's an area where historically we've seen the majority of our incident reports generated, safety-related, assault-related. Kevin Hunt, who leads our security department, along with our partners at the Fort Worth Police Department, have done a phenomenal job of coming up with some creative approaches to reducing the amount of incidents we see out there. And I'm happy to report that recently we've seen a 75% decrease in operator-generated incident reports related to safety at the Dr. Dennis Duncan's Transfer Center. One issue that we saw last year and leading up to were some trespassing issues at our HRP lot over at the bus facility. You guys all know the location where that's at. There's a lot of opportunity for trespassing in that area. That's something that our folks were very concerned about. Again, we got together a little task force, security task force together, and some of the improvements we've made with the facilities department have resulted in 0 trespassing issues since October. We did have one attempted earlier this month, and when attempted's a good thing, right? They attempted and then they decided to give up because they couldn't get in. So again, kudos to the team. It just speaks to the collaboration and support that every department here gives each other. So I wanted to point those things out during my time to speak. And if you have any questions, please, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Question? We're good, Reed. Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. I did get a Post-it note earlier. Kelly, forgive me. I do want to give you a little foreshadowing. When we talk about ridership was down, we've experienced quite the opposite weather so far in February. And that's led to already over 5,500 rides for our bike share. We're seeing those numbers skyrocket, and we're expecting around 9,000 by the end of the month, which would be a record, correct? A February record. So I want to end on a big positive note, even though most of that was positive that I just reported on. So.
Thanks, Ray.
Yep.
Well, no offense, but where's Eva? Did you know she was 40 under 40?
Yes,
I just thought you might.
I'm very proud of her, yes. And unfortunately, Eva's not able to give the report today, but I will. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. I'm here to deliver the December 2025 finance report. And so as we reported last month, we are on track to have some material positive variance at the end of the year. Right now, we're projecting about $18.5 million in revenues above expenses. Last month, we presented about 18.7. Excuse me. So we are now through our first quarter of the year. These numbers are going to get more dialed in as we get more data moving forward. So I would also say that this positive variance isn't something that was unexpected. We began the budget and it approved a budget that had a $7 million positive variance in it. As I get a little bit further in the presentation, I'll give you some more clarity on how we got to the remaining balance. Revenues continue to remain on pace. We budgeted 229. Right now we're anticipating 231, with the majority of that coming in sales tax at almost $120 million. Sales tax overall is tracking very close to budget. We're projecting 136.8. The budget was 135.5. Last week we got some additional sales tax data. So, and I always give you a little bit of a heads up when we get the sales tax data coming into these meetings. We would have seen about a 7% increase in sales tax year over year for the month of for the receipts generated in February, which there's a 2-month lag on that, so just something to be mindful of. But there was a material audit adjustment from the Texas Comptroller's Office. It was about $1.7 million, resulting in a negative year-over-year value of 11%. But for that correction, we would have seen about a 7% positive growth on the sales tax, and we've been seeing positive growth all year. So we're really hopeful that that trend will continue. If it changes or if it doesn't continue, we will obviously raise that to your attention in these meetings. So, fare revenues, we're continuing to see positive growth in the fare revenues. This is led by fixed route, TRE, and TexRail. The operating expenses, in total, we're seeing $213 million against the budget of $222. And I'll talk a little bit more about where those savings come when I get to the right slide. So bus operations, we're projecting to come in a little bit more than what we had budgeted, not by a substantial amount, only about $400,000. But we do have an aging fleet, so a lot of our emphasis is on maintaining this aging fleet that we have. We're also working to get new buses feathered in so that we have a fleet that ages out on a routine schedule instead of a whole bunch all at once. TexRail is continuing to show about $600,000 of savings. TRE is coming in right at budget. And on-demand microtransit, we're projecting 8.8. Currently budgeted about 8.6. We're working real closely with contracted services and operations to make sure that the on-demand and the paratransit cost and budget remain consistent throughout. So 13.2 budget on the paratransit with 13.7, but again, we're working real closely with the operations department on that. Bikes, we're seeing a little bit of savings there, but also we've got a brand new fleet of bikes, so less maintenance. Showing favorable budget performance. And then on Vanpool, we're seeing Vanpool come in really close to budget, so 1.7. General and administrative expenses, this is where we'll see the remainder of those savings that I talked about a little bit earlier. So we budgeted for $7 million to come in positive at the end of the year. When we developed the budget, we had some capital financing costs in there that were preliminary. So basically budgeted those at a full amortized value. So we're going to see about $7 to $8 million of budgeted spend that won't occur. However, those dollars are going to be instrumental when we move into TexRail and some of the capital projects. So those are already spoken for, basically. With that, I'll answer any questions the board may have, and thank you for your time.
It kind of ties the financial report that we got at the beginning with this. I saw that we had huge cost savings on insurance. What led to that? Was there, I would hate for our employees to have less coverage. Like how do we save so much money?
Well, there's a couple ways, right? On the, in budget savings versus savings, they may align, right? Sometimes we'll anticipate higher growth on the insurance, and so then when we get to renewals, we'll capture greater savings on the renewals than what we anticipate. But we'll always go into the budget expecting to have a greater value for those. And so the actual performance can lead into that in a material way. And then on the health employee side, right, the individual behaviors change year over year. And so we'll always try to make sure that we've got ample budget for that. And then if the performance comes in better, then we're very happy.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks for being healthy, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, Kelly, for our action item.
Oh, thank you. Kelly Shields, I'm the Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm here to present BA 2026-31 Fire Protection Services. Back in '22, we entered into a contract with TDI Industries for our fire protection services. In that contract, we included an option for an upgrade to the existing fire system because we knew it was a little older, going to be antiquated. There were parts that were no longer available, so we wanted to make sure we planned for that. It's time now to put that in place. It is, financing is available on our 2026 capital budget, and we are recommending that the Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorize the President and Chief Executive Officer to execute a change order to the contract with TDI Industries for the fire protection services in the amount of $367,145 plus a 15% contingency in the amount of $55,072, and the previous board authorized amount of $2,284,571 for a total not to exceed amount of $2,706,788. Thank you.
Any questions? Accept a motion? Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. BA 2026-31. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to briefly skip the President's report and talk about Tarrant County College. Would you take it away?
I will. Thank you very much. One of my favorite topics. So thank you very much, Chairman Davis, for the opportunity to highlight the partnership, a very special partnership between Tarrant County College and Trinity Metro. The relationship or partnership evolved around 2018 as a way to address and eliminate barriers that our students encounter on a regular basis, and one of them is transportation. So this is very near and dear to our hearts. I serve on the Tarrant County College Board, and this has been a huge topic of discussion amongst the board for many, many years, because we know as a college that education and access to quality education and skilled workforce and training is essential to economic development. So I'm very privileged to have Dr. Renetta Wright here today, and she's going to give us a small presentation, a brief presentation about the impact of the partnership with Trinity Metro and the positive impact it's had on our students and the community.
Thank you.
Dr. Wright?
Thank you. Good afternoon to the Trinity Metro Board. My name is Renetta Wright, and I serve Tarrant County College as the District Director of Student Affairs. With me today is Wahiba Balakwa. She is the lead of Student Service Initiatives and the Project Manager for Student Transportation. Wahiba? Thank you. We are here to provide an overview of the partnership between Tarrant County College and Trinity Metro. At TCC, we strive to address students' basic needs in our Student Empowerment Center, which includes food insecurities, shelter, clothing, well-being, and transportation. This transportation partnership is a critical access tool for our students, supporting academic progress, retention, completion, and equitable mobility across all campuses. Please give your attention to this slide as it demonstrates the multi-year progression. It reflects our strong institutional collaboration, consistent demand, and shared commitment to student mobility. You'll see from the timeline that this partnership began in 2018. In 2019, we began a regional transportation council approved by NCT COG funding, and TCC provided matching funds to support transportation scholarships. In 2020, due to the pandemic, we did see a delay in services, but it began back again, increasing in August of 2021. In year 2021, the TCC board ratified the agreement due to the program of the cost threshold. In 2023, Trinity Metro and NCT COG executed Amendment 1. And in 2025, our current state, the MOU has expired, but we are in negotiation stages. Easy Ride is a broader transportation access strategy that includes both Trinity Metro Easy Ride and Arlington On Demand. Eligible students receive free transportation, which directly reduces economic barriers to accessing coursework and campus resources. And you'll see that there are two simple requirements for students to take advantage of this resource. The student must be enrolled in 3 credit hours or 48 contact hours in CE, continuing education, and they must have a valid TCC ID. This does exclude our early college high school students, dual credit, senior education, and college for kids. TCC is committed to promoting student transportation services to our students, faculty, and staff. We have noticed an increase in participation, and we believe this leverage is due to our multiple visible touch points. And we have been very intentional by providing Trinity Metro displays on each of our campuses. There are 6 campuses with Tarrant County College, 5 physical and 1 virtual. We also have student affairs departments that display posters and information. And we have included this information in our new Trailblazer orientation for our new students. In our Canvas Student Hub, which is the portal where students find their coursework from faculty members, there's information posted about transportation. This information is also visible throughout each campus on the campus monitors and a visual presence on our college's website. Faculty have also expressed interest and support, and some faculty have chosen to include this information in their syllabus. So key trends. We want you to recognize here, and we want to thank you for partnering with us, because the data does show that across the 7 years that we've been in partnership, 2018 through 2025, we have seen the largest increase in retention in fall of 2022, which is a 5.2 increase. In our fall to spring retention, we saw an increase from 70.3% to 74.4%. Our rider retention has been resilient during pandemic years, maintaining rates around 76.1 most recently. And here we want to highlight, we are very proud of the enrollment at Tarrant County College. We are one of the largest colleges in the state, not the, but one of the largest in the state. And you'll see our head count has grown from 2021 to 42,000, 22, 41,000, and so forth and so on. And we are excited now that we are at 47,578 students and are enrolled across all of our 6 campuses. The next slide, we'd like to highlight the rider retention. You'll see in the blue bars that those are the, those are the riders, and the green bar is the non-riders. And you'll notice we'll begin from right to left, that in the academic year 2018, almost neck and neck there with the retention being the same, but you'll notice in the other years there are differences. In year 2019 that it was lower, 2020 it was lower, and then you'll see the increase over the past years from 2021 to current. We are waiting for data to complete our review of the 2025-26, but when we have that information available, we'll make sure that the board has that information. But most importantly, we want you to see that there has been a tremendous difference in students that are riders versus non-riders. And here again to highlight, you'll see that over the 7 years in the partnership, how the retention rate has increased. Okay? And you might be interested also and find this interesting that again, we have 6 campuses, and the students that are taking advantage of these services, we've seen the growth in our South Campus and our Trinity River Campus, that the advantages are there. Our students, I want to highlight our Alliance Campus, and this was a huge surprise for us. Our Alliance Campus is where our aviation program is housed, and students have, although the number is lower, they are greatly appreciative that they have found transportation to get to that particular program, so we thank you again there. For the Northeast Campus, you'll notice that the number is 0, and that's because we are in partnership with you piloting your LIFT program, so that number's not there for the bus ridership. And the same with the Northwest Campus. Those are the on-demand services, so it's not that students aren't interested, they're taking part of your other services there, so thank you so much. And the current state, you'll see here in 2021 that Trinity Metro and NCT COG concluded in August 31 with no interruption in services. And this is a great thank you to you, that even though we are in negotiation with the next MOU, that Trinity Metro has remained committed to allowing our students to continue those services, and we're greatly appreciative of that. TCC and Trinity Metro are currently negotiating renewal terms related to Trinity Metro's new invoicing model, and I'm not sure if they're in the audience, but I want to make sure that I highlight and thank Nicole Burton, who's the Strategic Partnerships Manager here at Trinity Metro, Keith Kunkel, who is the Fare Systems Manager, and Eva Williams, the Director of Budget and Grants. And we meet twice a month, and we are very close to a new MOU, so we're excited about that movement. At TCC, the District Office of Student Affairs is the leader for this program, and we're proud to serve our students. We have a dedicated leader in the audience here that drives the program. We have a dedicated phone number, office hours, email, phone, and students are able to contact us directly with any needs that they might have. Okay? And then lastly, I want to leave you with a student story, and you're probably wondering, why is there a picture of a shoe? But in closing, I'd like to introduce you to quote-unquote, Mr. Northwest Campus. 2 years ago, this autistic student sought services through our Student Empowerment Center, which meets our students' basic needs. His initial request when he phoned was he needed a pair of shoes. That was his only request, I need a pair of shoes. After meeting with him, we pulled back several layers of concern. Why did he need only shoes? He also needed clothing, we found out, and then that led to him needing transportation. This student lives near Northwest Campus, but it was too far for him to catch the bus. It was too far for him to be involved in the on-demand services. He had been paying for an Uber out of pocket to get to class, and when he didn't have the money, he would walk, which took about an hour, which is why he needed shoes. This young man never complained. He worked 2 part-time jobs to pay his tuition and to pay for his own transportation. After several conversations with Mr. Northwest, we convinced him to apply for paratransit services, and he met all the requirements. Today, the student enjoys the ease of receiving transportation to Northwest Campus. He is on track to graduate in May with his Associate of Arts degree and then plans to transfer to a 4-year university. So on behalf of Tarrant County College students, Chancellor LeBlanc, the Board of Trustees, we thank you, Trinity Metro, for continuing to collaborate in our students' journeys. Your support helps them move forward and closer to their dreams with confidence, with comfort and hope. Together, our investment is helping students create bold steps and better futures. Thank you. Are there any questions?
A terrific presentation. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you for that presentation. And just as we have Mr. Northwest, we have one of those or plenty of those at all of the campuses. So thank you for sharing that story. I just wanted to highlight that for those that are on the board that are not familiar with the partnership, the funding that was provided for this particular, for at least the first year, I recall, was actually taken out of vending machines. So we were not using taxpayer money. It was vending machine money that students were purchasing drinks and food, and that's the money that we used the first year. And after that, we established the partnership where we have a grant. So I did want to highlight that that we do take our responsibilities from a fiduciary responsibility very, very, very seriously, and so there was no taxpayer money. And then secondly, I just wanted to highlight that the dip in enrollment that occurred post-COVID, TCC has continued to increase their enrollment, and nationally we have ranked very high compared to most colleges, and I think a lot of that is attributed to the partnerships like that we have with Trinity Metro. In closing, I just would like to thank Dr. Wright, and also thank you for coming. I appreciate that. And also want to mention that, you know, the mission of Trinity Metro, and from my perspective, is really around people and economic development, and that is a lot of what we're doing at Tarrant County College. And as long as people have access to education, they have access to health care, they have access to employment and things like that, that gives them the opportunity to earn, to learn, to contribute, and to thrive. So this partnership is extremely, extremely important to Tarrant County College. Thank you very much.
That's terrific.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for putting this together.
Sure.
It's really important.
Thank you.
The President's report is our next agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Trinity Metro staff, and members of the public. I just want to start out by congratulating Eva Williams. I know we mentioned Eva's 40 under 40. That's a really big deal. Eva was selected from a very large applicant pool. And she represents the very best of Trinity Metro, and there are many others like Eva here at Trinity Metro. But Fort Worth Inc. every year puts out a request for applications, and it's to recognize 40 up-and-coming leaders who are doing extraordinary things in our community. And we're just so proud of Eva and what she has accomplished, and her recognition is a recognition for her, but also for Trinity Metro. So let's give Eva a round of applause. I believe Eva might be watching live stream, right, Greg? So, Eva, yeah, here's a big shout out to you. My one and only topic today I just want to touch on is the winter storm. We're gonna roll into a presentation, but I'm gonna tee it up. Every year, Fort Worth, we're no strangers to winter weather and the hazards that the ice and snow presents on the roads. And every year, this organization rallies together to both maintain service as long as possible, to keep employees safe, and to keep the public safe. But this year, there was a marked improvement in how we approach the winter weather. You'll recall last year we had a retreat on core values of this organization, and one of our core values is safety. And safety has been one of those recurring conversation themes. You heard the update from Reed today about safety at the Dr. Dennis Duncan's Transfer Center. But safety is also being factored into how we make decisions. So as this winter storm was approaching, we didn't know fully what to expect. We knew it was going to be messy. But we tried something different this year by putting safety as the core value that we were going to focus on. We always say safety is number one, but in our decision-making about how to ramp down service, how to message to the public, and then how to ramp back up. Safety was, can we do it safely? How can we do it more safely? And what that led to was this incredible rallying of our team. I've not seen anything quite like it at Trinity Metro. I've been here almost 4 years. And the way the team rallied to support each other, what's heartening about the storm response was the way everyone on the team saw their role and saw how they could help someone else on the team accomplish a goal. And so I don't think there was a single department within the organization that didn't have a role during the winter storm. And what does that look like? Well, days leading up to the winter storm, there were multiple phone calls and meetings to pre-position assets, to pre-position resources. There was planning around workforce availability. There was conversations about how to safely ramp down service when the conditions became hazardous, and to do so with maximum transparency to the public. So it wasn't just about the things we were doing internally. It was how could we do that in a way that ensured we were leaving customers served as long as we could, and then to make sure that the customers weren't stranded, right? An organization like ours with trains and buses and on-demand vehicles across the city, making sure the public had adequate notice so that they could get home. Many people came into work on Friday and then Saturday, and making sure that we gave them adequate notice to get back home before service was suspended ultimately for 2 days. I'm happy to say, I'm not going to steal the team's thunder, but I'm happy to say that there were a couple extraordinary accomplishments in all this. One was we managed to get through a storm of this magnitude, a 5-day event, ended up being 5 days, with no injuries throughout the organization and no injuries to our customers, which is just exceptional when you think about the numbers of people we move every day. We were also able to keep a lot of the services on the road, life-sustaining services. You're going to hear more about that today. People who depend on us. So yes, we have students that depend on us to get to school, but we have people that depend on us literally for life-saving care. So folks that who use Trinity Metro to go to, for example, a dialysis appointment. So this isn't some abstract thing that we do here every day, but it literally is a matter of life and death for some of our riders. I could not be more happy. I'll tell you, I don't want to start calling individuals out, but I do want to recognize Reed Lanham as our new COO. Reed, what I found exceptional about Reed and his leadership here is how he rallied everyone, and it wasn't the Reed show. He was our leader internally, but really making sure that everyone had their opportunity. And I don't know how many calls we had, but there were opportunities throughout the day and night where we would have this round robin, and everyone on the team had an opportunity to share what was going on and what resources they needed or what information they had to share with others so that we could all do our jobs more effectively. So, Reed, thank you for your leadership on the winter storm response. I know you hate when I single you out, but sorry, I had to do it. All right. And with that, those are my remarks, but we have a short presentation we'd like to show. So, Reed, you're up.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Rich. Again, Reed Lanham, COO, Trinity Metro. Really, one of the big things for us during this was, I think, over the past 6 or 7 months, I didn't mean to do that on purpose. Sorry, I've got kids. We've had a huge, I would say, a huge culture shift. And one of the things is the trust, right? The day before the storm was supposed to hit, Rich mentioned we'd been planning. We'd already had plenty of meetings, pre-positioned resources. He looked at me and said, hey, it's your first big storm as COO. And he just looked at me and said, but I know you got it. And the trust that he put in me, which again, that's the last time I'll talk about me, but it was the trust that we all have in each other here. I can tell you the brunt of the work was done by our supervisory staff, Ron Newman, Mark Snyder. Our facilities folks were absolutely phenomenal. George and Andre and their whole team, the work they put in to make sure we could achieve something, like Rich mentioned, no injuries to employees, no injuries to our public. It's a massive deal, especially a 5-day storm. I've been in the Metroplex a long, long time, and I know the world comes to an end when we get a little bit of ice, right? This was a 5-day event. It was the accumulation of ice was pretty severe. And our platforms, our parking lots, our walkways were immaculate. And I'd put them up against any other part of the Metroplex and how people prepared. I fully believe we were the best prepared for this, and it showed in the results. Our maintenance team, led by Mark Snyder, I'm going to get in. I'm sorry. I'm rolling here. I got a presentation I got to give. Mark Snyder's team did a phenomenal job. They stayed up here away from their families as well as the facilities folks, making sure that our fleet was ready to go whenever we did ramp service back up. They went above and beyond in many ways. I'll get into that in a moment. But here's just a few of the statistics on who stayed. We had 111 total employees, and we put those up there. And when I say stayed, I mean they worked countless hours throughout these 5 days when a lot of folks were home. Now, I will say, Rich talked about phone calls. I believe in one 24-hour period, I took 114 calls, and that's not exaggerating. But I would take that any day over what these folks did, and the work and dedication that they showed was phenomenal. So these are some of the hours that were put in, over 1,600 man hours in the 2-day total when we were shut down, that of work that was still going on while the majority of our services were shut down. I can tell you that our rail teams, both TRE and TexRail, did a phenomenal job of keeping the system in a state where we could provide train service. For those of you who don't know, the biggest issue we face on the rail side when we have these ice storms is keeping switches unfrozen. And here in North Texas, we're not quite equipped like they are maybe in the mountains, Colorado, or the Northeast with propane-fueled switch heaters that are automated and kick on. We actually have folks, boots on the ground, with propane torches, brooms, picks that are keeping ice out of the switch points so that they continue to move and we can keep train traffic flowing. So that's some of the effort that goes into keeping these rail systems running. And they both, TexRail and TRE, were very reliable. Brad talked to you about the rail break that we experienced on the last day. Now, I won't get into the science behind that, but, metal expands and contracts with the temperature. So as it gets cold, it contracts, and then it started to warm up on that last day. There was a factory weld. There was nothing done by any TexRail employee or contractor as we were building it. It was a factory weld that ended up separating. It was a 2-inch separation, and that might as well have been the Grand Canyon when you're talking about passenger rail operations. That is massive. And to have that repaired and have us back and running in 3 hours is extraordinary. So again, the most important statistic that came out of all this was 0 injuries. Rich talked about how we approach this from a safety standpoint. In the past, I've been around Trinity Metro now almost 11 years, and I'm not interested in doing things the way they've always been done. Now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? There's wisdom in that. But the way things have always been done, and you'll see it across North Texas, across Texas, people keep running no matter what. We do provide a vital service, and we recognize that as an agency. You talk about people getting to school, to work, to provide for their families, to better their futures, life-sustaining trips. We understand how vital we are to this community. So to suspend service for 2 days was a decision that was not made lightly. There was a lot of discussion and debate that went into that. But at the end of the day, our core number one value here is safety. And us being out there, having buses slide all over the road, crash into other cars, presenting hazards to not only our employees, but other people in the public, our riders, it's not worth it. And in our response, we felt obligated for the safety of our employees and the public to suspend that. But again, it wasn't an easy decision whatsoever. There's a few pictures we've got of the heroes that were out in it throughout the 5 days that we'll show. I also wanted to give, as we go through these pictures, I wanted to give a huge shout out to the other departments. Rich mentioned there wasn't one department that didn't have a hand in this. And when you look at finance, typically a storm response is an operations dominated thing, right? But when we talk about feeding, housing our employees that were up here away from their families, putting that work in, I was able to call our finance department, Eva, Greg, whoever it was, and they were Johnny on the spot, right? And we had everything we needed when we needed it. There were no questions asked. It was, how can we help? Communications, Ted Zimmerman, I'll give him a little bit of credit. Ted Zimmerman did a phenomenal job. One of the biggest differences in our response this year from years past was the amount and the quality communication that we put out to the public and our stakeholders. No one was unaware of what was going on at Trinity Metro. Ted and his team, Glenn, Josie, Nate, they did such a phenomenal job on whether it was social media, whether it was our website, of getting the word out real time of what was going on with Trinity Metro. So that was huge and bought us a lot of goodwill. I will say we got a pretty overwhelmingly positive response from the public on the decision to suspend service. And a lot of that had to do with the way it was communicated out. We talk about the facilities folks. I can't mention them enough. You'll see pictures of them in here throughout. And our maintenance folks, one of the things that they did, you talk about life-sustaining trips and services we have to provide. We partnered with the city to operate the shelter shuttle for our unhoused population during these times, to get them the places they needed to go so that they could be warm and be fed. And it was literally a life-saving service that we were providing. One of the issues with shutting down and suspending service was our operators were at home. So we were faced with the challenge of how do we continue to provide this service. I called up Mark Snyder and the maintenance team, and with zero hesitation and extremely happy to do it, the maintenance team jumped in and provided the shelter shuttle service for the remainder of the winter storm. And that was a huge deal for them and for the community. But the amount of joy that it brought and that I got to see our employees get from being able to provide a service like that, and when they don't normally do that, it was pretty awesome to see. Our customer service team as well, I don't want to leave out Deetra and her team. They fielded thousands of phone calls throughout this time, most of them positive, but their ability to work from home and still communicate and deal with the customers and get them the information they needed was vital throughout this as well. And Brian Morrow and his team helping us from a systems and IT perspective to make sure we were all able to communicate effectively. Our customer service folks had the tools they needed to provide that information. It all came in huge. So I don't want to leave anybody out. I'll give a small amount of kudos to the executive staff. We talked about the round robin calls we had. There were plenty of other calls that went on between then to talk through these details, and everyone was so supportive and helpful throughout the process. So again, all the thanks and kudos goes to the team because this really was a team effort. So if you guys have any questions and related to that, I'd love to get Annette up here to talk so she could. I'm just kidding. I'll answer any questions.
You want to answer?
I don't have a question, Reed, but I do have just a tremendous thank you for just the level of thoughtfulness and collaborate every year. Like I spent a lot of time in the Northeast, and I spent a lot of time defending North Texas ice storms against Northeast snowstorms, and people just don't understand how different those two weather phenomenons are and how dangerous it is to travel all week it felt good to just know, like, I could see in all the communication from Rich and through the app and on the website, like, it just felt I was very assured in our leadership, just knowing that we were taking this. People didn't die this year, like last time, we can't attribute that to the actions of Trinity Metro, but I'm just saying, like, that's how serious our bad weather is, our winter weather. So I couldn't help but be very proud of the way that you all led us and kind of stewarded the community through that event.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's a heartwarming event. I'm not surprised. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to also point out that we were in close contact with City Hall. Real grateful for those conversations. we have seen a change in the relationship with our city leaders, and one of the examples of that is there was a press conference being called in preparation for the winter weather, and there was TxDOT and the city TPW department and others, and the mayor was there, and Reed represented us on camera. It was great, Reed. You had a good time with that, right?
Thanks for the trust. Yeah, thanks for the trust.
A great job, but it was heartening that we are part of the conversation with our city. We are partners, and I think there's an increasing level of trust between us. So, thank you, Reed.
Yep.
Thank you, Reed.
Thank you.
Okay, we're not going to ask Annette to speak.
No, so the explanation there was we were gonna have everyone speak, but Reed wanted the limelight. No, just kidding.
No, that's not true.
No, that was planned. That was, yep.
So, the board is convening an executive session under the Texas Open Meetings Act for the consultation with its attorney pursuant to Section 551.071 to discuss legal matters related to items 1 and 2, as noted on the agenda. In that regard, this session is adjourned for the moment to go into executive session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.